right. We are up late for another episode of Tales from the Head.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. This week, we touch on some stereotypes relating to depression. Most of these are male stereotypes. I know, we're pretty masculine. We're pretty handsome, but there are some weaknesses in our lives, and we need to be honest, and we can't bury all our feelings inside. We're not World War II vets. Like, you're bombing Nazis, you're shooting shit down. I get it. You don't want to share your feelings. You've seen some things that people don't understand that aren't going to get it. Here's the thing. I didn't live through that. I'm a very privileged person that was lucky enough to not have to go to a war, not be involved in a draft. All those things that those generational people chose to electively do. World War II, people signed up.
Yeah.
It wasn't a forced to go thing like Vietnam was. People voluntarily went to war in World War II. Yeah. That's the thing I respect. It's kind of a tangent, but that's the thing I respect about that generation is how together they were with each other. Yeah. Not with politics, not with the government. Fuck all that. I liked that they cared about one another. And granted, that era had its issues socially, but I just feel like I like that. I like the togetherness, the community feeling that I feel like we definitely don't have as much anymore. And this is kind of a tangent, but
definitely, dude. And it's funny that we don't have like the sense of community no more, and we're trying to rebuild that up nowadays. Especially I do that a lot with my school and my subject matter. Like, we try to build community and stuff like that, but it's a whole cultural thing, because here, like, you don't even want to talk to your fucking neighbor. You don't even want to look at your neighbor. If some random person knocks on your door, you're like, who the fuck dared to come and visit me? Like, ever since we got caller ID, if I don't know that number, I'm not picking it up.
Me neither. I'll let him leave a voicemail.
And then
I'll see if I know him.
But when I go to Mexico, it's like you're walking down the street and you saying hi to everybody because they're all saying hi to you. And if you don't say hi, you're a fucking asshole.
Well, it's not an American thing. That's a Cali thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the one thing I need to remind myself.
Because if you go down to the South, there's a reason they call it Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
They're very, very polite. And they're very, outgoing. And it's not just the South. My mom, when she moved to Colorado, she grew up out here. When she moved to Colorado, she said, it's so different out here. She's like, people do you favors. People, lend you cars and shit. They don't do shit like that out here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm going to lend my neighbor my car. He can go fuck himself. But see, that's how we are out here. And that's the toxicity of fucking Cali, bro, is we get this nice weather, but we're all a bunch of snobs.
No,
there's degrees of snobs. Me and you are snobs, but we're snobs on a very, we're low on that thermometer.
Yeah, but there's still...
But we're Cali. We're Cali people, so I guarantee you every other state looks at us like we're snobs.
No, and...
For sure.
And definitely. I remember, driving down, being down in Texas, and just everything I'll eat, I'll be like, oh, fucking California's way better. Oh, California.
Oh, yeah, weather, 100%.
Weather, food, everything was oh, California.
Well, you don't like the Tex-Mex.
No,
the barbecue, barbecue whooped our ass.
No, barbecue was. I'm not even gonna talk about barbecue. Was delicious. But yeah, I see myself I go to Portland. I love going to Oregon a lot. I love going to Portland, and same thing. I was people are out there a little bit more friendly, but same thing. I'll go to a restaurant and I'm like, all right, this is better than California. All right, this was better than San Jose. This is better. But it's always California's always my highest standard for some reason, and then everything else compares to it. And funny story. I was in Vancouver. I went to Vancouver, Canada last year. Yeah, maybe last year. Yeah, it was last year. And that's when I realized I was an asshole American. And here I
Yeah.
am, and I felt so
Oh,
hypocritical. I'm like,
dude, yeah, the Canadians are so polite.
yeah, and here I was like so like hypocritical, thinking I'm a nice person, and no, I'm not like your typical American. I realized I was an American because I was driving and we rented the car and I'm driving because
Yeah.
fuck it, I rented it's under my name, I'm driving it. No one else gonna fucking drive the van.
Oh no, hell
Um,
no.
so I'm driving it, and here in America we have this thing, when this green, you fucking go. When
Uh-huh.
it's yellow, if it's just turned,
You
from
just
green to
go. You
yellow,
just go
you fucking
fast.
step on
Done
it.
it.
And if you don't like, I think if you cross the
As long
sidewalk
as
and
you're
then
in
turn red,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
still
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think you're good. Or that's just
Yeah,
an us thing.
yeah, that's just a nuts thing, dude. And then obviously if you missed it, you're like, fuck, and you're
Oh
pissed
shit!
off that
Don't
you
it get on
missed
the
the light.
camera. Yeah.
Oh, here I gotta have wait
Oh, I
20
saw a
seconds.
flash. I'm fucked.
Yeah, no. In Canada, while the light was green and then it'll turn yellow, I was the only asshole who would step on it to make the light, while everybody else will like stop and slow
Oh,
down.
would you look at
And
that guy? Well, I don't know what
he
accent that
must be in a
was.
hurry. And I'm like, it took me like doing it like maybe five on the fifth time where I was like, no one else is doing this. And then I realized, oh shit, that's such an American thing I'm doing right now. Like, fucking go.
Yeah,
Like, and I remember I got pissed off at somebody in front of me because it was green, then it turned yellow. He could have easily made it, and I could have easily made it, but he stopped, and he literally was in the complete stop before the light even turned red. And I was just like pissed off.
that's weird.
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, like get
I
on
didn't
a
honk at
bike.
the guy.
Like get on a
But
fucking bike, dude.
I didn't hike on him or anything. I didn't like hike on. I didn't like honk at him or anything. But I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I realized that's just my fucking American mentality and my California mentality of
Yeah,
like,
we're much
hurry.
more fast paced. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're big city, so
yeah, that too.
I mean, you can even get out of the bay, and it's just. I mean, I'm out here in the valley, and it's more close to what you were talking about. It's a lot more community. It's a lot more slow paced,
Mm-hmm.
which is more my speed now. I'm as much as I'm not just not at that age group anymore, dude. I ain't
Yeah.
trying to like go to the club and watch girls sit on dick. You know what I
Hell
mean?
no.
I'm good,
Hell
dude.
no. I'm
I'm
off that.
good. But I'm not in that age demographic anymore.
The other thing also, I think it is also is that like if you live in a big city, especially downtown, there's people moving in and out like
All the
within
time.
a year
Yeah.
or two all the time. So you're like, what's the point of even like, I don't know this person, like I don't know nothing.
Oh
about this
yeah, I
person,
mean
don't
that's
fucking trust them.
true.
Where
Yeah.
like I live a little bit more in the east side. Like I had my neighbors, like the same neighbors for like the past 5 or 6 years. So like, okay, after a while you're like, all right, let me see who's this
All
guy
right.
in the
Maybe you got
I
bodies
guess.
in your basement, but you're nicer.
But yeah, but you say hi to me. And I think that's the thing also, like with those smaller towns, or like when I go to my small town in Mexico, is like, oh, here's a new person. He moved in. Obviously he's not gonna exit, leave in the next, month or two.
He's not white.
So
We're not being gentrified. This is good.
yeah, so they're just trying to like size you up, if you will. So I think that's a huge thing with it. But going back to the stereotypes, we're all
Yeah.
super macho also. So we just don't
Machismo.
like to ask for any help from nobody.
What did Razor
never
Ramon
know.
say?
Uh,
So much machismo or something?
yeah, something like that.
Sorry.
Which, you know what? It wasn't until
Huh.
recently that I realized that Razor Ramon's character was Scarface.
Yeah. It's Tony Montana.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until like,
Well, if you
maybe
look at the way he originally
10
came
years.
out, he looked a lot more like the character.
yeah,
He had like I think he
the white
didn't he?
suit. I think
He, I think he had the white. Yeah, he had. I don't know if he had the full white suit, but he had like a red shirt, like kind of like the
Yeah.
flower shirt, maybe the white pants, and I don't think he had like the boat Sperry's or anything like that. But
No.
he looked very Miami, like
Yeah, and he was always Chico, and
Yeah,
and
hey,
I was seeing one of his
Chico.
promos, and he's like, "I want the world and everything in it,
yeah.
Chico, because
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy."
My
And-
favorite
and-
part about Scott Hall is the toothpick.
yeah, that
I
was
love it.
like,
When you
I
know
just
he
did
was
it right
always
now.
throw it at the camera.
Yeah, that was like his thing. That was his thing, dude. And wrestling was so much good. We're not a wrestling podcast.
No, we're
'cause
not.
But Wrestling was so much better in the 90s.
Oh, and dude,
and
and that's not us being the old people from the Muppets. I got friends that are into wrestling.
Yeah.
No one likes WWE right now.
No.
It's all about AEW. It's all about New Japan Pro Wrestling.
All
People
these
that like
underground.
it's all this underground shit. And AEW is not really underground. Who started it? I think it's Cody. I could be wrong, but I want to say it's Cody Rhodes, who is Dusty Rhodes' son.
Rhodes, yeah.
And Goldust's brother.
Goldust brothers, yeah.
And I think him and Chris Jericho started it.
Oh, awesome. I mean,
so that's kind of cool. I always thought, I'm like, it's a big named brand that they're really pushing, and I think they're putting less like legal restrictions on the wrestlers, and WWE's just
it's a huge corporation.
I got nothing against Vince McMahon, dude. I think what he did with that place is amazing. He started an NFL league in the early 2000s, and it didn't work the first time because he spent about 3 months or 4 months planning. This time with the XFL, he spent 2 full years. He got the funding. I watched it. I liked it. It was going on. It was doing really well, and he had to absolve it and get rid of it because of the COVID shit. And I was so fucking bummed because I wanted an alternative to the NFL, not to get rid of the NFL, but to push the NFL to be better and to push the NFL to be more entertaining and less restrictive. I'm okay with safety restrictions, but they're just making it less of a fun game to watch.
You know what I hate about the NFL is that whenever maybe I mean I'm granted I'm also the casual fan. I'm not like fucking don't tell me anything because I'm gonna be dumb, but I just don't like the amount of like breaks and commercials and there's this big money corporation thing, and I think for me that's a huge turnoff for me, man. Like,
well, but see, the only reason soccer doesn't do that is because they print all the shit on their jerseys.
Yeah, exactly, and on the side also. So we got that taken.
So I mean, that's something to think about.
Yeah, but that's something also I've been noticing that not with European soccer, but I've been noticing a lot with like Mexican Liga MX because of my other podcasts. I see that a lot. But whenever if a player goes down and they're kind of checking up on them for like the minute or something, they'll sneak in like a 15-minute commercial. Granted, they'll split the screen, they'll throw in a 15-second commercial, and
I've seen that.
Yeah, and I'm like, whatever. I know you gotta get your money and whatever, but it's
they're doing it. It makes sense because I mean I hate corporate shit, but it makes sense because you're already on an injury timeout. You might as well plug a sponsor because you're gonna have to do it anyway, and now you're not interrupting anything.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So I get that,
and I'm perfectly fine with that. But like, what really bothers me in NFL, and correct me if I'm being ignorant about it, but they have like the media timeout, whereas like everything's going perfectly fine, but you know what? We got to sneak in a commercial right now. So
no, dude, that shit sucks. And I've gone to Monday Night Football games, more than one, a few. Yeah, they're about 4 hours long because of all the commercial breaks, all the production. Yeah, it's a production. You're on a set. The game isn't the game is a production, but it is a game. Yeah. I'm not going to get into this and say it's rigged. I don't think football is rigged. I think there's dirty things that happen here and there, but for the most part, it's dudes tackling each other and catching balls. And that's what's awesome about it. That's why people love the sport. You know, why do people love soccer? They love the sport. Yeah. You know, so I think it's getting away from where it should be. I think, you know, with this whole CTE thing, I appreciate the educational aspect of it. I appreciate the awareness that brings to the table because that's the only way you can fix things is educating people. The thing I don't like, though, is when they started doing this whole, and this is, once again, this isn't the CTE thing. This is how the NFL regulates things. The NFL, like, you know, they were getting rid of helmet hits. So so what did they do? Did they go out and educately research how to maybe do it? No, they went for the quick fix which was don't aim for the head, go low. So guess what they were doing? Taking people's knees, crippling them, and allowing them to never make money or play the sport again. Yeah. So you're essentially almost doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't have CTE. That's true. But I'm sure they'd like to use their legs. I'm sure they'd like, and I know wear and tear happens, but yeah, that's on their terms.
You don't want them
You're allowed to injure yourself because you're taking that risk. But when you're telling others, oh, this is the safer way to do it, and you're breaking and tearing ACLs and you're breaking knees and
dislocating freaking,
like, you're not fixing the problem.
Shit. Yeah.
You're choosing a Band-Aid that isn't even a Band-Aid. It's a piece of tape with holes in it. I mean, it's just, I agree. It's a completely terribly nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
Nonprofit. Ugh.
Yeah. No, but
yeah, it's a joke. And then I know we mentioned machismo and went into this, but we're men, obviously. We're talking about sports. We're talking about how much we love to drag our clubs on the ground in our cave. Like, no, we really love sports, and to some people, they're like, they don't get it. It's a like a caveman's way of, that's your opinion. But I feel like if you got something that entertains you, you respect, and takes you out of your bullshit and allows you to just have an enjoyable moment, and you can do it with friends, what's wrong with that, man? That's a beautiful thing, Like, people need to be a little more open. Like, I don't like jockey dicks either, but that doesn't mean you got to hate on the sport. It's a cool fucking sport.
And yeah, like, just so many things to follow up on that. Like, yeah, the good thing about sports is that it allows us to, like, remove whatever we're focused on or whatever struggling is and just focus on something. So, like, in my case, if I'm watching a soccer game, it's 90 minutes, so an hour and a half. It's about 2 hour ordeal. You can say that. 2 hours meaning, the 90 minutes playing, 15-minute halftime, and then give or take like 5 minutes extra time or whatever.
Right.
So it's about a 2 hour ordeal. And for those 2 hours, I'm just focusing on this. And it's like a camaraderie thing with like your group of friends cheering or hating on the team. And it really is part of like the machismo man, be a manly man kind of thing. Like, automatically, if we meet another guy who doesn't like sports or never played sports, we automatically like put him more on the feminine kind of side. We start using, like,
I think we do. And you know what? I haven't decided whether I have a problem with that or not. I think if you act on it, I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
If you just feel that way, I think you can feel however the hell you want. The minute you vocalize it, the minute you act on it, you're changing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I think that way. I think on a general field, you're absolutely correct. I feel anything that isn't deemed like, like I got, once again, I got a toothpick in my mouth and I spit in a spittoon, like anything that's not like that, you're a pussy.
Exactly.
You're a castrated cuck or something. Like, I get it. I get where that comes from.
It's a feminine
I don't
thing.
agree with it. I know how pig-headed men are. I am one. I am pig-headed, but my brain's just a little bit bigger than them. But dude, like, like, and it's true, like, we all got those friends that are homophobic and too cool for school, and it's like, oh, dude, don't be saying that gay shit around me, or shit like that. And it's just like, someone in their life made them feel insecure. Yeah. And they never want to feel that way again. Yeah. So that's why they're so dismissive. And that's sad. I've experienced a lot of things in my life. I've witnessed a lot of things in my life. I've secondhand heard a lot of things in my life. But it hasn't, like, changed the way I treat people. Like, like you said, man, like, a guy might not be in sports. You know how I feel? Like, say, okay, we're talking, right? Let's just say me and you have never really met, and we're like at a bar, and some of our friends know each other, and we're just chopping it up. We're like, all right, cool. Yeah, what do? You like football? And you're just like, no. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to think, this is my perspective. I'm not going to think you're feminine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think you're a pussy.
Yeah.
I'm going to think, well, that's one less thing I have in common with this guy to make a conversation.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to move on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to be like, why don't you like football?
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck? This guy doesn't like it. Move on. There's got to be
cares?
something else you can talk about. And that's the other thing. If the only thing you can talk about is football, then I hope to God you either work in the industry as, as a player or you're affiliated with the organization somehow. Because there's no reason to act that way otherwise.
You know, it's funny, dude. And it just yesterday, was it yesterday? Maybe whatever. Yesterday we were interviewing for my the L3 podcast.
Yeah.
We were interviewing the play-by-play commentator for the San Jose Earthquakes, soccer guy.
That's fucking awesome.
And he's great guy, great guy, great conversation with Mr. Ted Remy. There you go.
There we go.
KNBR.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, he involved with like various sports all in general, so not just earthquakes but just in general and sports in general. But we were like, all right, I'm like, dang, we're not gonna have a single thing to talk about this guy for like, for like a 30-minute segment. We ended up having like almost an hour-long segment, and that segment could have gone on for so long because we were just talking like, we started our principle with like soccer, but we're talking about like craft beer and the best place to go have a burrito and like traffic in the Bay Area.
That
and I'm
right
like,
there is the art of conversation, my friend.
Yeah.
It wasn't an interview, it was a conversation.
Absolutely.
That's the difference. And I think that's why he did an hour. If he was on a radio show in the morning, like he does, he KNBR. KNBR is not a good example because they do sports talk. But let's just say he was coming in to do an FM spot, like comedians and actors do and shit when they have movies coming out or they're plugging their shows.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Like, no one wants to fucking just sit there and have to, what great question are you going to ask me?
Yeah.
Unless you're cool and you're a fan of the show. Like, that happens sometimes. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, some of these interviews stink. And if and you know, day after day in, day out, they do countless amounts of interviews. So for them to finally get an interaction with fans, people that are like them, respect them, and to just converse, not be like, you know what I mean? I think that meant probably a lot to him. And then he just was having a good time.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Absolutely. I think like right after like we finished our interview, we ended we ended recording, and we were like, dude, like that was awesome. We should like. He's like, dude, anytime, like you guys are cool, we'll
see,
talk about,
yeah, you guys got a rapport with them and shit now.
Yeah, and like if your life, going back to the main point, if your life revolves around, if your identity is based on one specific sport or sports in general, like, dude, you need to like, make an effort on yourself, read a book,
do something,
go on a walk, watch the trash TV, because I love watching trash TV.
Oh, dude, I'm a lazy piece of shit. I could just stay home and watch shit all day long.
Yeah. Oh, it makes my life so, like, I was so into 90 Day Fiance.
Okay, like, I got into before he got, and that's the hipster in me, dude. That's the fucking hipster in me. I was like, before he got hella big, I hella was following Big Ed, dude, because I liked his little. I still think he's a weirdo.
Yeah,
but I like the fact that all the shit that the girl, I think her name was Rose or whatever. She didn't. Rose. She was so dismissive of him, and she was super shallow.
Yeah,
because the whole series paints this picture that she's so cute and he's this like gross, no neck,
slob,
chubby dude. And it's like, but if you watch the interactions, and then once again, I can't do this because it's an edited television reality show.
True.
Everything is skewed, edited for a reason,
entertainment,
for an agenda.
Purposes. Yeah.
So I can't even really be hating on her right now. But what I can say is the way they edited the show definitely did not paint her in a good light.
Yeah.
And there was this one part that cracked me up when he bought her a toothbrush, and he's like, "Your breath is not pretty."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and dude, Steph was telling me, she said, she's like, yeah, well, they eat so much fish and they do this and that. And, you know, after a while, you know, just like how if you eat curry or a lot of garlic, you sweat it out.
Yeah.
You just kind of smell like it. But, like, you know, it's a third world country out there, dude. And if you saw her house she had where she's got to take a shower with a bucket with her dad, like,
and the freaking there's a rat there and shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
You know, but I enjoy the train wreck that show brings.
Yeah.
Because I love watching people at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching just absolute filth being glorified like they do on reality shows.
Yeah.
I won't watch them all the time, but every once in a while I just love to watch. Sometimes it's a good reminder to see how low that pool is every once in a while. You're like, okay, how low's the bar this week? Oh, okay, pretty low. Oh, looks like they lowered it for next week. Look what the preview is. Dude, it's just kind of nice to be reminded you're not as big of a piece of shit as like most of these people on these shows
on TV. Yeah, no, and two things about that. Number one is, I remember that episode, and she's like, oh, you know, digestive problem, but yeah, like essentially, like I'm pretty sure I reek of beans and chili. But, like, I'm so used to the smell, like, I'm not sure.
No, but I think she really was, like, I think she really did have bad hygiene habits.
Yeah, she had, like, something going on.
And then she didn't shave her legs. That was kind of weird, too.
Yeah, but, I mean, I can't believe we're freaking justifying that big Ed over here. But he could have gone about it differently. And I guess... I thought
he was nice about it.
And it goes back to the machismo thing. Like, guys are expected to, like, one thing with Rose, like, oh, well, you lied to me about your height. You know, like,
see, I thought that was kind of weird.
Like, every time they, you know, like, I always remember the movie.
But if you look at that dude, you can tell he's not tall.
Yeah, I mean,
no one built like that is tall.
Yeah.
How many people do you know that are like,
yeah, you're like no, that dude's like,
no,
that dude's like 4'11".
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Danny DeVito's bad, like, nephew that got dropped in a canyon. You know what I mean? Like, he's built just like Danny DeVito.
I remember Danny DeVito in Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia
when he
wearing,
has the
like,
stick?
skinny jeans or something.
Oh, yeah.
How weird he looks. No, but, like,
did you hear it?
He came from a right place. What?
I'm sorry, the Simpsons thing's doing it again.
Again? I thought you turned it off.
No.
Hey, it just wants to join in. Also.
Comic book guy, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, he just wants to join in.
I interrupted you again.
No, but, like, I think he could have gone about it differently, but I think the way he went down is just it went down. And the thing is, it goes down to, like, our machismo and, like, gender roles and shit. Like, we're here in the Americas where, like, girls are not supposed to, like, have hairy legs. They're supposed to smell nice, you know, do their makeup and shit. I honestly don't care. I'm like, do whatever makes you happy.
I don't know about the hairy legs, dog.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I'm not attracted to, like, underpit hair or anything like that. If you're my significant other,
let's get something straight here.
Yeah,
if we're going with stereotypes, girls are super fucking superficial. So, yeah. I mean, you just look at the way they treat each other.
Yeah.
Oh God, look what that bitch is wearing. Like,
oh, bro, we're gonna.
How often do dudes fucking do that?
How often we're gonna get so much trouble for saying this shit.
Yeah, I'm generalizing though.
Yeah.
It's just going off.
Off again.
Yeah, but to anyone who's listening that doesn't understand what I'm talking about, I got this awesome Simpsons comic book guy action figure thing, and for some odd reason, it just keeps making noise. And it's always late at night, and it's always around this time.
Yeah, and what's creepy about it is that you, like, in order to make this noise, you have to, like, it has a very, like, complex manner of, like, turning it on.
There's a button. It's literally a button that needs to be pushed. It's not like it's not a voice thing. It's not a sensor.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, here's the thing. There's shorts. I know the Spiritus Malos are out there, but you know what, dude? Let me tell you. We got enough sage in this house.
To fucking...
Between the sage and my body odor, I think we're good.
You're gonna go ahead and smoke him out.
Oh, dude, once we're done with this, yeah, dude, it's gonna be 420. Like, no, I hate that.
I thought you did this last week or something. I told
What?
you sage the shit out of your house.
Well, dude, it's not like a week later it's all gone.
Yeah,
This
it's
takes
true. You're right.
time. You know, my
Again,
house
this
was
is
built on an Indian burial ground. I'm sorry, Native American. How ignorant. Um,
it's First Nations now.
oh, yeah, I'm not doing
I'm just
that.
playing. I'm not sure. I've heard that term
Did you hear me?
before.
Well, I'm not doing that.
No, but that was like a term also.
I'm gonna
thrown
take
out
a
there.
knee
First
on that
Nations.
one.
Yeah. No, I'm just playing with that one. But no, like, and it goes back to like our machismo mentality too. Like, we're expecting everything to be done quick. Like, there's always a quick results. We're expecting everything like, oh, we'll snap out of it. And
Right.
to tie it all back down to mental health, like,
God, that's a good
we
point.
feel like I feel like a lot of reasons people don't like give up on taking care of themselves, working out, eating healthy, which I started to do after our podcast about eating healthy. I'm more mindful
Nice.
on what I'm eating. I'm trying to be sexy, but
I like it.
just like we want fast results. We want fast results.
Instant
We want them
gratification.
now. You know, I'm a man. Not why the fuck I have to wait for this. Blah blah blah. Like everything should be ready by the time I get there. And I think it goes back to like this whole machismo stereotype, like, oh, you know, if you don't fit what society thinks is manly, like you're automatically like downgraded. Like if there's a fucking man card taken away from you. Like Ed not being over, I'm not sure how tall he is, but him not being like,
let's just say not
5'6",
over 5'4".
Yeah. If a man's not over 5'4", like for some reason they're less desirable. If
Which is true.
If they're dark skinned, they're not desirable.
If you're this
if they
short,
don't have money, yeah.
If you're this short, you're not desirable. If you're that poor, you're definitely not that desirable.
Yeah, you're not desirable. If you don't have, like, dude, this is one of my biggest problems, and it's something that really really like fed into my depression and my anxiety and my stress, and it still does, but I have to remind myself it's okay. I was like, dude, Danny, you're 35, 36.
Damn, that's old.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Thank you. I'm like, I'm 35, 30. Oh, I just turned 36. But when I had like my mental issues, 35. I still have them, but I'm like, you're not married. You don't have no kids. You don't have like I was putting all these things that I was supposed to have already that nobody told me. There's no fucking law that says I have to have these
But
things.
are those things you want? Or is that just because you feel like that's what you should have?
I think
that's the
things
difference.
I should have. It's things I should have.
Because see, then it is wrong.
Yeah.
If those are things you want, then it's okay to be upset that you don't have them.
Yeah.
But if it's just because you feel like you're not living up to society's view of what you should be doing, then yeah, that's not right.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I wouldn't mind being married already with kids and stuff. I wouldn't mind doing that, but at the same time I'm like, doesn't mean I'm just gonna go and like marry the first person I see and have kids or whatever.
I respect that.
Yeah,
it's got to be a natural thing.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's all this stereotypes and it's all this machismo. I'm like, dude, I don't want to go to Mexico and be like, oh, look at this guy, he's almost fucking 40, no, you know, no wife, no kids. What is he is he gay? Like that's the assumption, and that's the one, and it goes back like, you know, how's it gonna look like, you know, if I reach 40, I'm still not married or anything, like, oh, then people are gonna start thinking I'm gay, or, you know,
which is weird because like, gay people have relationships.
Yeah,
but so it's like what? So gay people don't have relationships?
No, I think
no, I know what you're saying. I'm not telling you. Yeah. I'm just saying that's stereotypes.
But like the Mexican mentality, like, oh, the only reason that person's not married is obviously
the old.
gay.
Let's just say, well, in your case, it is true, the Mexican mentality, but I also like to call it the old-fashioned mentality.
Yeah, that
anyone that's either from another country or that's older, I feel like definitely shares that ideology.
Yeah. And so that was like really feeding into like my anxiety and my stress, and then exiting or like that relationship I was in, that kind of fell apart, which was again the person who I thought I was gonna like marry and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, that's just solidify that I'm not gonna reach to this point. I'm not gonna get to this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be this failure, and this my manhood is gonna be in question, and it's become this whole machismo thing also that I'm slowly like, no, it's okay, dude. It's okay to be, my age and single. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. I mean, I have to tell myself that because society isn't gonna tell you that.
No.
Um, and I can only imagine like being a female and being this age, not being married, like
Yeah,
that
those eggs are gonna
pressure.
die off.
Yeah, and that stress and that pressure and that stereotype and everything must really, really,
Yeah, I
add
think
up to
I
this.
think that is probably
Uh,
worse for a woman because um their clock is a lot shorter than ours for reproduction.
yeah,
And I mean, you can, as long as you're old enough and your tubes are connected to your balls to your shaft, you can
yeah.
pretty much and your what is the word?
You can
I
still
was gonna say
reproduce.
sterile, but that's not the right word. When you're yeah, you still got the boys in the tank.
Yeah, when the
As
boys can
long as
still
that
swim.
happens, you can get an 80-year-old man can knock. I forgot how old it was. There was some old person in there.
Mick Jagger.
You can't be an 80-year-old woman and have a baby.
Oh, and
Once they
this
go
is
through
funny.
menopause, they can't. I don't
Well,
think you can get pregnant after you have menopause.
this is what's funny,
Something like that.
and you just brought it up, and this goes again with the topic of today, like machismo and stereotypes and gender roles and all this shit. But you just said, oh, it must be hard for a woman because they cannot reproduce, and it's this machismo thing in our head, or this manly thing for us, non-Spanish speaking people who don't know what machismo means. It's this thing where like a woman is only good for reproduction. Like, what if this woman doesn't want to have any kids?
Right, but that's not the way I meant it. The way I
No,
meant
no,
it,
no, no, no. I
yeah.
get it. I 100% get it.
No, I know, but
Don't.
that's
No,
true.
I'm not getting.
The way
But
I
at the
meant
same
it,
time,
yeah.
yeah, no, I know how you meant it. Don't. I mean, I know you. I know you very well. Which I know you're not like dimming the like disrespect.
No, but I
But
meant, yeah. Real quick, just real quick. What I meant
yeah, yeah.
was basically if they want the joy of giving birth to a child, because every woman I know that's given birth to a child, it's the
Mm-hmm.
most beautiful moment in their life. So that's
Yeah.
what I was saying was, as
No.
much
Yeah.
as you were like saying, God, I wish I had this, can you imagine? Like, I still don't understand the love that a woman has for her child. I love my
Yeah.
kids unconditionally, but I didn't squeeze them out of my vagina.
Yeah.
So I don't
Or
get
your
it.
pee
I
hole.
don't get
Yeah.
that level,
Yeah. You don't have that.
and
That
that's what I was saying is like
connection.
they
No. Yeah.
they are comparing it to what their girlfriends, what their sisters, what their mothers, what their aunts, what their grandmothers are telling them, and they're like, well, why can't I have that situation? That's why I was referring to. That must be harder because you have all these other women that are telling you this great thing they've been through.
Mm-hmm.
That's the feminism part. Like that's their side of it. That's the side the women have
Yeah.
to deal with. It's not the machismo. It's the I don't know what the
No,
version
and
is.
and I 100%
Yeah.
agree with you, because on the flip side on that, like if I was to meet somebody, a woman who's also like my age and doesn't have kids or anything, I'm like, whoa, shit, this girl must be dying to date anybody
See,
because her
exactly. So you're like, you got a
but yeah,
wounded a
I'm
gazelle.
thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, dude, this girl just wants to have the kid and doesn't even care who. Like,
But
Jesus,
hey, but is that a turn on?
it's too much pressure. Too much pressure.
Oh no, I get you because you're
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
if
yeah,
she's
yeah.
pro and you're not necessarily at that point yet.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a turn on. Like, anybody can get anybody pregnant.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
for sure.
You
That's the
know,
easy part.
I think I'm at that age where I can like sweet talk my way into anybody and get my way.
I mean, I've seen
Um,
I Am Sam. He had a kid.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anybody could get anybody pregnant.
Forrest Gump had a kid too
Dude,
with Jenny.
there you go.
Yeah.
So for
Perfect
all those
example.
special needs people out there,
Yeah.
you can get
Still
down and
hope.
you do, and I'm sure you do well.
And you'll probably become a rich white guy
I wonder how many
in
OnlyFans.
Alabama. In Alabama. Yeah, go ahead
Oh
and say it.
God. No,
Go
I
say it.
just wanted to say, you know how OnlyFans is super huge with like all the whores and stuff right now. So I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I wonder how many special needs. I'm done. These are the thoughts that come in my head in the twilight hours, my friend.
Oh God, no, no, don't say it. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. I should have stopped you. I should have stopped you.
You
But
should have,
no,
but it's too late, and I said it.
but I think it goes back to that like machismo thing and like inbred, like, all right, what we think of and stuff like that, and like how we view others, and yeah, it has to be super. And then I can only imagine, dude. I can only imagine the couple who's been together for X amount of years and they try so hard to,
Mm,
to have a child and they
yeah.
can't. And how much like brippage that might become on a marriage and
Well,
how
dude,
much
I
like
mean,
fighting and
you talk
stress
about
and
things like miscarriages, and
yeah.
that's all. That's it's we were very blessed to have two healthy boys and to have
Mm-hmm.
Steph have two healthy pregnancies. She's got some close friends going through rough times with their kids. Some of their children either born premature,
Yeah.
some are premature with cleft lips. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and you never want to condemn it and say, God, it's terrible that my kid has this, because you don't want that stigma attached to your child.
Yeah.
But you're sad because you know that their path in life is going to be a lot more jagged than it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what breaks your heart. It's not that they're not perfect. It's not that they're not normal. It's that now they're going to be, have to be
Yeah.
stronger than
They have to be
anyone
thick
else in their
skinned.
age
Yeah.
group, because they have to be different. They have to
Mm-hmm.
learn through those adversities, and they
Yeah.
have to also socially accept the life they have to live
Mm-hmm.
with all these people that don't understand them.
And you know
And
what's
that's
funny
the
though?
fucking hard part.
One thing about I will say about my career, for those who don't know or haven't picked it up, I'm a teacher. I teach freshmen and sophomores. I can hate my kids sometimes for just being jerks and just like pissing you off.
Mm-hmm.
But with my classroom, it was literally the classroom right next to us was the sped ed or special ed
Yeah.
or the sped ed classrooms, and then to across from mine was the county's sped ed like education. So like this is like people like screaming and like having big like episodes because
Ah,
of
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
disability. Yeah.
Okay.
And for how much my students were a-holes and jerks and stuff, they would never ever try even say anything about those kids either in my
Oh,
school or
that's
from the
really
county.
awesome.
And I was like, and for me, I was like, dude, this is like, it's just so great that we're like embedding this into our students now with sense of community to like be open about that. And yeah, like I had a couple of students who were like, all right, maybe they're gonna like pick on some kid for being like quiet or shy, but no, dude, like they will like try and include these students to like play back, hey, here,
Yeah.
so and so take a shot, take a shot on the basketball or something. And they're like, for as much as you think these kids are jerks, which they are, like 80% of the time,
Right, for sure.
they still have that kind heart. And I think it's a great testament of like how much as a society we have grown to like accept these kind of stuff. But I'm not saying that like, oh, if your child is born, with some sort of defect or like with some sort of disability, it's going to be all biscuits and gravy. I'm sure that's not the case for everybody. There's still going to be some speculations and weird looks that your child will have to like deal with growing up.
Yeah.
And then to kind of tie it into what we're doing, as a male figure, as a father, again, I'm not a father, so maybe I'm speaking out of my ass, but based on what I saw, based on my dad,
Mm-hmm.
as a man, you have to like quote unquote man up. So
Yep.
you cannot show emotions. You cannot show that you're stressed for your kid. Or if you get a telephone call about how your kid got bullied or something at school, you cannot cry about it. I will fucking cry. I will cry if my kid is having like a really bad day and he hates his school, for this kind of things, because we were taught, it's all that machismo thing where we're taught not to like show any emotions
Right.
except for like, manly emotions, and not talk about our feelings except if they're manly feelings, and stuff like that. And I think that's a lot of, we're at the point now as society and as friends that we can openly talk about it and not feeling judged about it, because
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people think about, that they're going to be judged. But at the end of the day, our
Judge.
case is
Well,
different.
but here's the thing: people that say they don't judge you are so full of shit
Yeah,
because everyone in this world judges everything. We're human
absolutely.
beings. It's ingrained in our DNA. It's a survival tactic. You're assessing a situation based on its threat level. You're judging it.
Yeah.
It's what you do. 90% of the time, we're not doing it for survival, but it's still genetically ingrained in us, and that's what we do. I got a mixed feeling on this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. I think men should be able to cry. I think men should be able to talk about things. I think there should be a place for them to do this and not feel like you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the flip side that also makes me feel like I kind of agree with it. I kind of agree with some of the stereotypes. Not 100%.
Yeah, to an extent.
The whole man up thing,
Mm-hmm.
I got two things I like about it. Not necessarily the way I look at it.
Okay.
Man up in a way for me. Man up isn't a sexist term. Like, I guess some crazy people would probably be like, why is it man up and not woman up? First of all, it doesn't sound as good. It's one syllable.
It doesn't
Second
flow.
of all, I'm a man, so I'm going to man up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to woman up. It's just, it's pertaining to me.
Yeah.
I'm a man. So I get it. It means step your shit up, which I agree with 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that's the way I interpret it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's the way it's meant to be conveyed. And you're kind of, and see, that's kind of what I like to do. People and the media and their government and all that shit, they want to tell us what things are.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, dude? Isn't it open for interpretation, a lot of things?
I think everything in this society is open for
Exactly.
what it means to be a man. It's open to interpretation,
Yeah.
to anybody. What it means to be a father, what it
Mhm.
means to be a mother, what it
Yep.
means to be anything is
Yeah, like
open
women
for
don't need,
interpretation.
like men, like if you want to be machismo, I think you should be.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But to force everyone to do it,
Yeah.
I think that's stupid because we're not all the same. Just like you shouldn't force all women to, not be educated and stay at home with the kids. But at the same time, is there anything wrong with a woman that wants to be a stay-at-home mom? Absolutely not.
No.
So
If I
it's
mean,
like
by all
these
means,
norms are only bad if it's affiliated with something negative,
yeah,
and which
but I think
this
just brought up.
subject is. But
I think you just made up a good point. Like, if I shouldn't even say I, because I'm assuming I'm the freaking. If one parent can create enough salary to sustain the whole family and be comfortable living, then what's wrong with
and,
the other parent?
well, and why
man or
wouldn't you
woman?
want to do that? Because
Yeah.
you were mentioning earlier, right, about actually, I don't think it was on the podcast. I think it was when we were talking.
But
We were talking about
earlier.
we were talking about abortion shit and all that stuff. We were just
Yeah.
talking about like whatever. And you brought up a point where you said, yeah, I just completely blanked.
Are you talking about like if you're not financially stable, ready to
Right.
yeah.
So, like you brought up a good point where you're like, okay, if you're not financially stable, it's tough to raise a kid, obviously, and that's not really a fit environment. But, and I was thinking too, it's like those young adults or those young people that have to be parents at such a young age. Okay, yeah, they can make it work. But if both of them have to work two jobs, you're not raising your children. You're not.
Yeah, what's this burden
A
of the
lot
child?
of, you're supporting your kids.
Yeah.
That's an important part. And,
Yeah.
and being a single parent, I have no idea what that's like. I'm not downplaying it at all.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is And I know this from personal experience and from experience from my friends and my loved ones that they've dealt with, is providing is one aspect of being a parent. And
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I know people that were provided for, but they weren't supported. And there's a hole in there. There's a hole. There's something missing. And that's part of that whole thing. It's quality, right? So you're in a situation where you have no choice. Doesn't mean you're making the wrong choice. It just means you're going to have to work a lot harder to make sure that kid has an adequate lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, a single parent has to work probably 100 times harder than a dual parent system because they're by themselves. If you're tired, too bad. You don't have relief. You don't have someone you can tap in.
Yeah.
That's something I don't understand. And I think, it takes a certain type of person then to decide whether or not they can live their lives that way. And I just say we judge everything. I don't discriminate people that make choices they know are the right choice for themselves. And just because I don't necessarily relate to it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be understanding for their situation. You know what I mean? Because if I don't relate to it, then I shouldn't really have any kind of judgmental opinion on what they're doing, which is kind of this whole point of this thing too. It's this society gives us this feeling of guilt and anxiety to assimilate and to belong.
Yeah.
And we need that. We need that belonging. It's been engraved in us, whether it's something that was branded on us when we were very young and impressionable, much more impressionable, or it's just how we are in general. And I think it's kind of a little bit of both. I feel like it's just the human condition to want to belong, wants the camaraderie, wants to be understood, wants people to agree with them, right? All of these things are part of our insecurities. Like, I respect and work towards being so comfortable with myself that I can just make choices freely and just do things. And I feel like I'm getting better at that, but it's definitely, there's so much negativity in your head that isn't always necessarily even a gender role. It's just, I'm not good enough for this. I'm not meeting these standards. And, one thing that was interesting is, I was mentioning these statistics on this stuff, and, I'm a natural skeptic. So, it says 75%, 40%. And I said, I told Danny, I was like, what was the sample size? Like, was it 15 people? Was it 1,000? Was it 10,000? Because if you only interviewed 100 people about their opinions on these things, it's like, that's cool, man. But 100 people here and 100 people there probably didn't think the same way.
And then it also it gets inbred into, like, which subculture of man are you interviewing?
Right.
Like,
And when they put it out there, they make it seem like it's 75% of every man.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you don't know that because your sample size was probably, whatever,
like
50 people.
Like one stat that I'm seeing here. By the way, we're getting these numbers off the Depression Project.
Yes.
If you guys want to see that.
And that's by you ordered the book that.
Yeah, so this guy, the Depression Project, he wrote a book called Depression is a Lie.
And what's the author's name?
Daniel. I can probably tell you that in like 1 second if I was to really.
It's not a big deal. Oh wait,
if I really wanted to.
Danny Baker.
Yep, Danny Baker. And his page is the depressionproject.com,
or I think it's Real Depression Project on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's on Instagram. So yeah,
and he talks about his book talks about kind of like what we're doing with this podcast. It's just talking about his sense of depression and like worthlessness, and then how he overcame with it. So it seems like an interesting book. I'm pretty excited to read it. I reorder it, so I should be getting it pretty soon. But
do they have an audiobook version?
Perhaps.
I should look
I know
into
they
that.
have a PDF form of it, but
Oh yeah.
um, one of the stats says 40% of men don't talk to anyone about their struggle. And like what you're saying, like, okay, well, who, out of what number, and what was the demographics of the sample pool?
Right.
If it's, again, I only know from a machismo level. Like if it's from Mexican, if it's Mexican American or Latinx, like, or Latinos in this case, since they're man, like, how many Latinos were said it, did say it,
I
what
mean,
40%, what
yeah.
was the demographics of that 40% that won't talk to anyone about their struggle, or like who's the 60% most likely to talk? Because I think that falls a lot into it. Like if you have more resources to like seek help and get like certain medication, or I shouldn't say medication, but certain help to help you with your mental issues and mental problems, like, yeah, you're more inclined to talk about it. Where if you're coming
Mhm.
from an underprivileged community, you don't have the money, you don't have the time, like you don't
Right.
have the time. If you're working 2 jobs, you don't have the time to like go talk to somebody for like an hour. Maybe you don't even have the funds or the insurance for it. So maybe you don't talk about it because you don't want to like rise concern to like your family members or something.
Mhm.
So again, this is all numbers that are being thrown out there,
But that's a
but
good
I think
point
it's a
though,
good starting point. Yeah,
because it's it's saying like, I mean, it's not necessarily the percentage. I think is a good point. I think it's important to people need to talk about things. Why do you talk about something? You talk
yeah,
about something to give it life, to bring it forward, and to bring attention to it.
yeah,
It doesn't always mean change. It might be glorifying it, but
yeah,
in our case, it's change. In that guy's case, that Danny Baker's case, it was change.
yeah.
And you're not going to change if you suppress stuff.
No,
So you're just going to keep turning around and around in this endless circle and just keep going and going because you don't want to feel stupid. You don't want to look inferior to other men. Meanwhile, they're feeling the same way, and you guys are all just a bunch of dummies.
yeah.
You
You're
know,
all. What's the Pink Floyd song? And I don't want to get sued or get it wrong, but we're
you're not
just
going to
two
get
lost
sued if you're
souls.
talking about, oh, that's Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, I wish you were
Swimming
here.
in
We're
a
two lost souls
fishbowl
living in a fishbowl. Yeah,
year after
that's what I
year.
imagine. Like if you're just there, like if you're with a group of men, you're all going through it, but no one, has the courage to admit it. You're just like two zombies kind of living a lie in this in
Hmm.
this little bubble.
God, good
Um,
plug with the Pink Floyd, Danny.
oh, I
Fuck
love
yeah.
that song,
I
dude. I
fucking
love that
love
song.
Pink Floyd.
Oh, I love it too. That's one of my favorite songs. Also, it's just a
Oh,
great
dude,
song.
great song.
But also another stat that he threw out here, Danny Baker. He said 75% of all suicides are male. And I remember, and I was telling this to you, Ryan, or you, Coop, the artist formerly known as Ryan.
Yep.
I was telling you, Coop, that when I was in college, when I was taking psychology classes, my professor said females have a higher attempt of suicide, but their methods of committing suicide is not as aggressive. Like they'll do with like the pills or like less aggressive style. Where male, they have a higher rate of suicide. Like they have a lower attempt, but they have the highest like success rate of suicide, if you even want
And
to
this
call it
and
that.
this just reinforces the fact that men are better than women at just once again, we're once again better at women than something
we
else.
we
So
we
there
get
you
the
go.
job done. No, I'm just playing.
Girls, to step it up. You know, no,
but
no, that's
but
terrible.
no, we're just call the
I'm
hotline.
just kidding, guys.
Call the hotline. No, but um, the way that male commits suicide is more aggressive, like
You know,
with the
because
with the
there we go,
gun.
dude. It's
Yeah,
machismo. Now,
yeah.
what sounds cooler to you? Taking 10 Xanax or taking
Mm-hmm.
10 Xanax and then hanging yourself?
No, it's you take it and
No,
then you
but
hang yourself.
I'm being a dick. But
Yeah,
that's how narcissistic. And you can be narcissistic without being a narcissist.
yeah.
And that's kind of the narcissism of the male ego, is that even when we want to kill ourselves, we're like, can't be no pussy.
No, exactly, dude. And and it's like this thing where it's like,
Ugh.
she tried to commit suicide. Well,
Pills.
if I was me, man, I would just taken the 45 straight to the dome.
I would have took a Phillips screwdriver right through the eye.
Yeah, it's more like, oh no, I would have done it like this, and it's like no emotions about it. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. No emotions, no.
Yeah, like that's such a
It's,
cowboy mentality, which I will say is not the way I want to live. But I do respect that. I do respect individuals that live a hardened lifestyle and it works for them. I don't respect the individuals that try and live a hardened lifestyle and they're just crying on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, there are dudes like that, man. There are dudes that are tough as nails and they don't want to tell you about shit. And that's cool, man, because if you make it work for you, that's all that matters. Anyone listening right now that's like, I don't need to do what you guys are talking about, that's awesome. You know, that's good because you got your shit figured out. And you and your ego and your person on the inside, your soul is connected. And see, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm not connected with my soul. Sometimes I feel like my body and my soul aren't always together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my physical form and my mental form, we're not always as one. I'm always like dealing with like, I need to trust myself. I need to stop doing these things. I want to get to a point in my life, and I don't even know if it's possible, but I want to get to a point in my life where it's at least better, to the point where I treat myself like one, and I do things, I get it done, and it's not so much of a struggle as much as it's like it becomes a routine of who I am.